In this video, we're going to explain the properties of ionic compounds and compare different ways of representing ionic compounds. Ionic compounds have a giant lattice structure, as shown here. And they have strong electrostatic forces of attraction between oppositely charged ions. There are three properties of ionic compounds you need to be able to know and explain. Ionic compounds have got high melting points. This is because the electrostatic forces of attraction are very strong. If the forces of attraction are very strong, this means a lot of energy, a lot of heat energy, therefore a high temperature, is needed to overcome those forces of attraction, therefore giving it a high melting point. Ionic compounds are also soluble. This means that they dissolve easily in water. This is because the ions have a charge. If something has a charge, it tends to dissolve quite easily in water, making it soluble. Finally, ionic compounds can conduct electricity when they are molten or dissolved in water. This is because when they are molten, they've been melted, or they're dissolved in water, the ions are able to move freely. This means that the ions are able to carry a charge. When ionic compounds are a solid, the ions are in fixed positions and cannot move, so ionic compounds can't conduct electricity when they are solid. You need to be able to explain when they can and can't conduct, and why they can conduct when they're molten or dissolved. There are three different ways of representing ionic compounds. You've got to be able to explain the advantages and disadvantages of using each of these different ways. There are dot and cross diagrams, ball and stick diagrams, and 3D models. The advantage of a dot and cross diagram is that it shows where all the ions are and where the electrons are. A disadvantage is that it doesn't show the structure. If you'd only ever seen a dot and cross diagram, you probably wouldn't realise that ionic compounds had a giant lattice structure like here. An advantage of a ball and stick model is that it does show the arrangements of the ions. You can see it's a cube shaped here, and you can see all the way through the diagram. A disadvantage of this representation is that there aren't actually any gaps between the different ions, and there aren't any sticks holding the different ions together. A ball and stick diagram also doesn't show you the electrons like a dot and cross diagram does. A 3D model shows you the size of the ions and the structure. We can see the sodium and chlorine ions are different sizes, and we can see its 3D structure. A disadvantage is that it only shows the outer layer. We can't see through the diagram like we can do with a ball and stick diagram. It also doesn't show you the electrons like a dot and cross diagram does.